Hey guys, it is Crystal. I have braces now, so that's something new. I'm here to do the top 10 influential books tag. I did not get tagged by anyone, I just really wanted to do this tag. I don't know who it was created by, but if I can find a created by video or like an original video, I will put it in the down bar. If not, then sorry, it's been going around lately. Instead of doing 10, I have chose 5, and instead of not talking about them, I'm going to talk about them a little bit, but it won't take too long. Like, I'm hoping this video is going to be under 3 minutes. So, this is in no particular order. These are just the books that I have and that I love with a burning passion and that I can reread over and over and over and over again. So, the first book that is on the top of my stack is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is only the second book that made me cry, and the first book that made me cry twice. So this has a very special place in my heart, and this was also one of the first books that I read that was contemporary that I really, really enjoyed. The next book that I have is It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Benzitti, and he writes phenomenally, or he wrote, because he's gone now. But anyways, when I read this book, I was having a good time the first time I read it. And then I got it in DC on a whim because there was a girl and she was like, "Oh, remember It's Kind of a Funny Story, Mom? He wrote a new book, such and such." I don't even remember what the book was called. But it was so good. I loved it so much. And I'm like, oh, well, I really want to buy a book here because I just did. I wanted to say I bought a book from DC, and this was the book that I chose because I didn't know what book to choose. And I read it, and I loved it so much the first time. And now this book, whenever I am feeling upset or down or going through one of my little periods where I get really upset, then I will go up to this book and read little blurbs out of it that I have marked. There's not many, but I will go back and reread this book completely or reread just my favorite little blurbs out of it. And I recently saw the movie and I loved it. It was so great. So the next book, I'm kind of cheating, but this was definitely my favorite in all the ones that I've read. And that is the Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare in the last book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. However, this also counts for all of the Infernal Devices trilogy and the Mortal Instruments and the Dark Artifacts and everything else that is coming out from Cassandra Clare, because she is my #1 favorite author because she got me back into reading again. I love City of Bones. City of Bones was the first book that really, really, really got me back into reading. And then Clockwork Princess, just, it holds such a special place in my heart for so many reasons. But when, you know how I mentioned that The Fault in Our Stars is only the second book that actually made me cry? This one's the first. I cried at the ending, and it's just so beautiful and phenomenal, and I love the premises, I love the characters. If you have not picked these books up already, just go do it. I know they're really hyped up, but in my opinion, I think they deserve all the hype that they get. The next two books you've probably never heard of before, or if you have, it's just because I talk about these books a lot. This next book is Predator by Terry Blackstone. This is an adult Christian novel that I read, oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, probably about 3 years ago when I first moved down here. Oh my goodness, I loved it so much. It made me happy, and it just got after all my feelings, and that's why when I read adult books now, I only read like mysteries or conspiracy theories and that kind of cool things, but that's because of this book. And this is another one of the books that got me to start reading, and I've read this book twice because I just, I love it so much. And finally, I have The Vow by the original couple, Kim and Cricket Carpenter, with Dana Wilkerson. This book has a very, very special place in my heart because I wrote for 7th grade year in Florida. You have to do for 7th and 8th and possibly 6th, but I wasn't here for 6th. But I know for sure for 7th and 8th. you have to do this thing called Young Authors. And basically you write a short story or a little book or whatever needs to happen to submit as a grade, and then if you do good you get an award and you get to meet an author, whoever the author chooses. It's usually not someone very big, and it's usually someone from the area. But I wrote a book, and it's, well, I guess it would technically be a novella, but I wrote a novella and it was called Is It Love, when I was in 7th grade, and I won that award for my whole 7th grade. I was the only person to win. And it basically followed the story, the exact same story of The Vow, except it was the boy who lost his memory. And there was some other aspects, like the military, the girl's father was in the military, and how it was coping, but it was the same kind of aspect about where one of the people in the relationship loses their memory, and then they have to fall in love all over again, and they do it, and it's just so great. And this book, every time I read it, or every time I see the movie, every time I hear about the book or look at the pictures or whatever, I always think of this couple who this really did happen to. And I wrote my story right before that movie came out, and then I heard that the movie was coming out, and I just had to see it, and then I read the book, and it was so great. So anyways, I'm sorry this video got way longer than I expected to, but I am done, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye bye!